The fat controller gave Gordon a rest when he came back from London. He told James to do his work. James got very conceited about it. "You know, little Toby," he said one day, "I'm an important engine now. Everybody knows it. They come in crowds to see me flash by. The heaviest train makes no difference. I'm as regular as clockwork. They all set their watches by me. Never late, always on time. That's me." "Says you," replied Toby cheekily. Toby was out on the main line. The fat controller had sent him to the works. His parts were worn. They clanked as he trundled along. He was enjoying his journey. He was a little engine, and his tanks didn't hold much water, so he often had to stop for a drink. He had small wheels too, and he couldn't go fast. "Never mind," he thought. "The signalmen all know me. They'll give me plenty of time." But a new signalman had come to one of the stations. Toby had wanted to take Henrietta, but the fat controller had said, "No! What would the passengers do without her?" He wondered if Henrietta was lonely. Percy had promised to look after her, but Toby couldn't help worrying. "Percy doesn't understand her like I do," he said. He felt thirsty and tired. He had come a long way. He saw a distant signal. "Good," he thought. "Now I can have a nice drink and rest in a siding till James has gone by." Toby's driver thought so too. They stopped by the water crane. His fireman jumped out and put the hose in his tank. Toby was enjoying his drink when the signalman came up. Toby had never seen him before. "No time for that," said the signalman. "We must clear the road for the express." "Right," said the driver. "We'll wait in the siding." "No good," said the signalman. "It's full of trucks. You'll have to hurry to the next station. They've got plenty of room for you there." Poor Toby clanked sadly away. "I must hurry, I must hurry," he panted. But hurrying used a lot of water, and his tanks were soon empty. They damped down his fire and struggled on, but he soon ran out of steam and stood marooned on the main line, far away from the next station. The fireman walked back. He put detonators on the line to warn James and his driver. Then he hurried along the sleepers. "I'll tell that signalman something," he said grimly. James was fuming when Toby's fireman arrived and explained what had happened. "My fault," said the signalman. "I didn't understand about Toby." "No, James," said his driver. "You'll have to push him." "What? Me?" snorted James. "Me? Push Toby and pull my train?" "Yes, you." "Shan't." The driver, the fireman, the passengers and the guard all said he was a bad engine. All right, grumbled James. He came up behind Toby and gave him a bump. "Get on, you," he said crossly. James's driver made him push Toby all the way back to the works. "It serves you right for being cross," he said. James had to work very hard, and when he reached the workstation he felt exhausted. Some little boys ran along the platform. "Phew," said one. "The express is late. A double-header too. Do you know what I think? I think," he went on, "that James couldn't pull the train, so Toby had to help him."
"Never mind, James," whispered Toby. "They're only joking." "Ha ha!"
said James, and disappeared in a cloud of steam.
proof has been put upon. The brass and engine were working hard at the big station on their line. Percy was cold and bothered. There's too much work with these stupid trucks. At that time, Thomas got the Indian plane. Hello, Percy. Thomas laughed as he puffed away. Percy didn't reply. He just snarled as he watched Thomas pull away and fall over the door. Percy was starting his journey to kill them with some heavy trucks full of stones. All right, Percy. We're just adding your lamps and starting your fire, and we're away. It had been a few hours, and Percy's fire was burning nicely. Let's go, said Percy. Percy passes from Network, Crosby, and Percy reached the top of the hill and disrupted his flying the train. Whoa, stop! We're at the top of the hill! Stop! Stop! I want to stop! At the bend of the hill, Percy almost came off the tracks. Percy set us up. He dropped to a line cart, and that was enough to stop him. What a relief. Yeah, but now you're white again. Percy started plotting a plan. Can we go straight together so that Tim sheds who's think bad of me? I mean, it's October, so yeah. Percy arrived at Kogan, and he got the troubles and left the shed. Percy arrived at the shed. Percy reached the ladder. Gordon popped back into his shed quickly. Gordon! Thompson, he reversed so quickly he ran through the wall. Thomas was dead. Horror! Henry shot up like a jackrabbit towards Napper. Percy laughed. Haha, it's me, said Percy. Morning had arrived and the package show had gone to the shed. Percy, you should know better than this, he said. Sorry, sir. Please, sir.
Now go get cleaned up and you will help with the reconstruction.
Yes, sir. Sorry, sir. And that was how Percy spent the rest of October. James was at Knapford Station shunting, and Thomas puffed in to get his coaches.
10 inches, are we?
Huh, I'm just shunting for my chain to kill Dane. Thomas puffed away to the platform before James could finish his sentence. It was afternoon by the time James got his train ready. Just then, Donald and Douglas puffed in.
Oh, hi, Daddy, so come back. I need to help you with your train.
Said Donald. James just snarled in annoyance. Right, well, couple up to the train. I'll lead in front. The engines backed up to the train and started their journey. Storm began while they arrived at Lower Tidmouth.
Oh, this is a big storm. You better get your soundbox ready for the tracks.
Douglas yelled out loud. They arrived at Wellsworth. The storm was still going on. After this, it is downhill, and we don't want to become a runaway, so leave your brakes on. I don't know what the choice. Stop! Screams. Shit! Wait now! Help! Go back! He yelled. Driver and fireman jumped clear in time. Yeah! The twins pulled with all their might. Whoa, thanks so much.
The next hour, the storm had passed.
Thanks so much for saving me.
You're welcome, Daddy.
Trevor, the traction engine, was enjoying his work in the vicarage orchard. Birds were singing and apples were ripening on the trees. It was a lovely day. "Hello, Trevor," said James. "You look as bright and cheerful as my red paint." "Oh, I am," replied Trevor. "What's that noise?" asked James. "It's the bees," laughed Trevor. "They're all in these boxy things called beehives. I'm taking them to the station. The vicar says his bees make good honey and is giving some of them to his friends." Just then, Boko, the diesel engine, hummed in. "Take care, you two. Don't make the bees angry. They might sting you." James didn't like being told what to do by a diesel, and he buzzed away. "Goodbye, Trevor," called Boko, and set off to see Duck at the next station. Bill and Ben, the tank engine twins, were busy arranging trucks, but they scampered off when they saw Boko. "I remember the first time I met those two," laughed Boko. "They nearly made my eyes pop out. Edward soon put a stop to their games." "Edward is the only one who can keep Bill and Ben in order," chuckled Duck. "I sometimes call them the Bees." "A good name," replied Boko. "They're terrors when they start buzzing around." James bustled in. "What's that, Duck?" he snorted. "Are you afraid of bees? They're only insects after all, so don't let that buzzbox diesel tell you different." "His name is Boko, and he didn't "I wouldn't care," interrupted James. "If hundreds were swarming around, I'd just blow smoke and make them buzz off." "Buzz, buzz, buzz," retorted Duck. The next morning, James arrived at the station to collect his coaches. The passengers were excited and keen to get on board. The platform was crowded, and the porter was in a hurry. "Mind your backs," he shouted. Then there was trouble. The beehive fell and broke open. The station cleared like magic. James heard a familiar buzzing. The bees were too cold to be cross, so they buzzed around the fireman hoping he'd mend their hive, but he didn't understand, nor did his driver. So the bees turned to James. His boiler was nice and warm. Buzz off, hissed James. One bee burnt his foot. Ooh, ah, phew, phew. The bee thought James had burnt him on purpose. So it stung James right back on the nose. Eee! Whistled James. He had had enough. So had his fireman and driver. They didn't notice till too late that they had left all their coaches behind. They tried everything to get rid of the bees. First, they spun on the turntable, to no avail. They tried washing them off, but the bees clung harder to James's warm boiler. Then they tried smoking them off by going through a long tunnel. But still the bees wouldn't go away. It's no good, James, said his driver. We'll just have to go back to the orchard and fetch another hive. James's reply was drowned by the sound of buzzing. The vicar was waiting anxiously for James. When he arrived, the bees swarmed straight into their new home. Come on, James, said his driver. What you need now is a good hose down. Later that evening, James was resting in the shed when the vicar came to see him. Thank you for saving my bees, he said. It's a pity it's not Christmas, then we could call you James the Red-Nosed Engine. Everyone laughed, even James, but instead they decided to call James the Bee's Knees, which means they thought he was more useful than ever. Every summer, the island of Sodor is very busy. Holidaymakers love to sightsee, and when the weather is fine, there is no better place to visit. Some people like to go to the mountains, others like the valleys. Children love the seaside. One morning, Thomas was puffing along the line that runs by the coast. His two coaches, Annie and Clarabelle, were packed with children going to the beach. Everyone was happy. Percy was taking some trucks to the harbour. Hello, Thomas. You look cheerful. I wish I could take children today instead of trucks. They're the vicar's Sunday school, explained Thomas. I'm busy this evening, but the station master says I can ask you to take the children home. Of course I will, promised Percy. Later, Percy saw Harold. Sorry, Percy, can't talk. I'm on high alert. Why? Bad weather's due. My help's always needed. Mind how you go, Percy. Ah, off, Percy. As long as I've got rails to run on, I can go anywhere in any weather anyhow. Goodbye. He set off for the beach. It was a beautiful day, but Edward was worried. Be careful, he warned. There's a storm coming. A promise is a promise, thought Percy, no matter what the weather. The children had a lovely day, but by tea time, dark clouds loomed ahead. Annie and Clarabelle were glad when Percy arrived. He was just in time. Rain streamed down Percy's boiler. Oh, he shivered and thought of his nice dry shed. Percy struggled on past coastal villages and into the countryside. The river was rising fast. I wish I could see, complained Percy, as he battled against the rain. More trouble lay ahead. Oh, hissed Percy, the water is sloshing my fire. Percy's driver and fireman had to find some more firewood. I'll have some of your floorboards, please, said the fireman to the guard. I only swept the floor this morning, grumbled the guard, but he still helped. Soon, Percy's fire was burning well. He felt warm and comfortable again. Then, he saw Harold. Oh dear, thought Percy. Harold's come to laugh at me. Something thudded onto Percy's boiler. Ow! Exclaimed Percy. He needn't throw things. It's a parachute, laughed his driver. Harold's dropping hot drinks for us. Thank you, Harold, whistled Percy. Got to be of service, replied Harold, and he buzzed away. The water lapped Percy's wheels. Percy was losing steam again, but he plunged bravely on. I promised, he panted, I promised. He made one more big effort, and at last, exhausted but triumphant, he brought the train home. Well done, Percy, cheered Thomas. You kept your promise despite everything. The fat controller arrived in Harold. First he thanked the men, then Percy. Harold told me you were a wizard. He says he can beat you at some things, but not at being a submarine. I don't know what you two get up to sometimes, but I do know that you're a really useful engine. Oh, sir, whispered Percy happily.
One morning, Thomas was sat at the station waiting for Daisy. His driver and fireman were talking to the guard. "Did you hear the station master was burgled last night?" said the guard. "Good gracious!" exclaimed the driver. "News to me yet anything worth stealing." "He's won cups for gardening," said the fireman. "All taken, and then the scoundrels had the cheek to pinch his lorry to carry them away." "Not that new one he's so proud of," cried Thomas. "The very same," the guard nodded. At that moment, Daisy arrived. Thomas told her what the guard had said. "Poof! Too many of those horrid things, if you ask me." Thomas was cross. That lorry meant a lot to the station master. I'd be upset if someone stole Annie and Clarabelle. The guard's whistle blew and Thomas set off. I'm going to find a way to help now, but he wasn't sure how. As he waited at the next station, a flash of colour sped by. Thomas tried to catch up for a better look. "Steady, Thomas," called his driver. "There's plenty of time. Can't we get closer to that lorry? It looks like the station master's." "Lots of lorries look like that," chuckled the driver. But he opened the regulator and Thomas began to go faster. The fireman peered out of the cab for a better look. "That's the lorry, all right, and there's two men inside. They must be the thieves." And he began shoveling coal like never before. The chase was on. As they neared the station, the driver began writing a note and placed it inside the fireman's lunchbox. They thundered through the station, and Thomas whistled loudly at one of the porters. The driver threw the box, and both he and the fireman shouted, "Police!" Thomas rounded a bend and stopped on the level crossing. The lorry rounded the bend too and was stopped in its tracks. They tried to reverse, but a policeman quickly arrived and the thieves were stopped. That afternoon, the VAT controller travelled to the junction with Thomas. He stood on a trolley and he told everyone what had happened. They were delighted to hear that the station master's cups had been found in the back of the lorry and had all been returned. "A long time ago, Thomas the Tank Engine proved he was invaluable to the running of my railway. I'm sure you'll all agree he has once again shown he is a really useful engine."